Good evening. I'm Mr. Bigley. Tonight, we're going to be talking about something very important, and that's plastic in the soil. You might have one view on it, some might have another. However, we're going to get down to the bottom of really what are some of the issues and uses and what the future of it could look like. Please join me on this adventure. Have fun. I'm here with Jimothy Williams. He's a local farmer. Jimothy, what's your plan, or what do you think on plastics being used in the soil?
Well, the thing is, plastics are very important to my operation. So I've been a horticultural crop producer for the last 10 years. So I use plastics in 3 ways. I use them as coatings for my fertilizer. I use them as plastic irrigation lines underground, and then I use them as mulching films. So I use them as coatings for my fertilizer because that keeps the fertilizer in the ground longer, giving my plants more time to uptake that fertilizer, getting more benefit from it with less applications. And then I use the irrigation lines as I have buried those lines near my crops, and put them on a timer, so that way I can have that set and it automatically waters my plants, reducing my labor cost, and it puts the water right by my plants instead of some guy just spraying it with a hose. So it also reduces the water cost I have in raising those crops. And then finally, I use something called a mulching film, which is the black sheets of plastic on the ground with holes punched through it for the horticultural crops. So that way, those crops first don't have to compete with other weeds, because those mulching films prevent them from sprouting and competing with my plants. Secondly, they heat up the soil faster because it's a black sheet of plastic. The sun hits the sheet, heats up the plastic, and heats that soil by anywhere from 5 to 10 degrees, which increases soil temperature, which plants need to germinate or survive. This allows me to increase my growing season and have a longer time in which I am producing crops. And then finally, these plastics help hold in the moisture. When paired with my irrigation lines that I said I used earlier, that put the water right next to the plant so it can use it, that puts it under this plastic film, keeping it so those plants get the water and the water doesn't evaporate off. So I use all of my inputs that are under that sheet. So those are the 3 uses I have for plastic, which both decrease my labor cost, my input cost, and increase my overall productivity by allowing me to raise plants for longer. So plastics are absolutely essential for my operation. They not only protect my crops, but they protect my bottom line.
Thank you. I'm here with Tommy the Turtle. He's an environmental scientist. Tommy, I have a question for you. What is your opinion on plastics or even microplastics in the soil?
Well, I think personally that the microplastics are harming the environment. Recent studies have shown that nano plastics have caused some micro doses of toxins getting into the soil, which could then turn your plants to have shortage or be stunted and not grow as tall, and they can lose weightage, so you'll lose some tonnage in your hay fields and stuff like that. But the most important thing I think is that they can cause the roots not to get as deep into the soil, which could then, if you have a bad windstorm or something, they could just wipe your whole field out. Another study shows that some plastics that contain the roots and stuff are great carriers for contaminants and diseases, because they just hold the water in one place. So if there's any contaminants in that water, then they don't have anywhere else to go, obviously, because it just sits there. Though there are some great things for plastics in the soil, I think the most of it is negative and will harm the farmer more than it'll help him.
So do you think the temperature from the sun, solar radiation, do you think that helps break down some of the plastics?
The soil or the sun can break down some of the plastics, but like I said, in the end, I'm pretty sure the soil and the plastics will just be harmed from having more plastics in the soil.
Awesome. It was great talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're out here on the streets of Columbia, and we found a local consumer, Benjamin Dover. Benjamin, do you have concerns about plastics in the soil and how that affects you?
I do. As a consumer, I appreciate when prices are lower for my food because I do like to eat, but it makes it a lot cheaper when farmers can, produce stuff and have lower input costs, making my money buy more food so that I can feed and support my family and myself. But also, I'm also worried because I do like my food to be, good for me. I want it to be healthy and I want it to be safe. I want it to be safe to consume, and I don't want it to hurt me or my family in any other way.
And what you talked about, you like to eat, I like to eat as well. Especially when I go to the grocery store and I see some of these things and they're wrapped in plastic and it's one item. If that one item were to get into your soil and it grows and food grows and it breaks down, do you have any concerns with eating plastics or microplastics that may have been in your food?
I do, because I'm not quite sure how microplastics affect me when I consume them or the food when it's grown in it. So,
as you can see, talking to some various people locally, I think more research can be performed in the studies of plastics in the soil and how it could affect us in the long term. One thing that we can do, however, is put a little more attention to what we are doing to Mother Nature and the earth and the things that provide for us. And that's pretty much it. We need to research some more. I'm Richard Bigley, signing out.